Welcome to Smart Wealth with Joshua.
Your daily stock analysis and catalysts talk. Today we're looking at Borealis Foods.
If you find our talks useful, please consider subscribe, like, and comment underneath. It really helps us keep the lights on and the analysis flowing.
Absolutely. We appreciate every single one of you tuning in.
All right, I want to start today by taking a trip down memory lane. Picture this. It's 2 a.m., you've got a midterm in like 6 hours, you're broke and you are hungry.
Oh, I know this story.
You walk into the kitchen, you grab that crinkly plastic package, you boil water, dump in a block of dried noodles, sprinkle that salty mystery dust on top, and boom, dinner for 30 cents.
The universal college experience. That is the instant ramen phase.
Right, and usually you graduate from that phase, you get a job, you start buying, I don't know, vegetables, maybe a steak if you're fancy. You don't look back at that block of noodles and think, this is the future of high-tech food.
And you certainly don't think, this is how I'm going to build generational wealth. Unless, of course, you're looking at the company we're analyzing today. Because they were betting the farm, literally and figuratively, that the humble noodle is actually a Trojan horse for a massive disruption in global nutrition.
We are talking about Borealis Foods, ticker BRLS. And I have to say, when I first saw a noodle company on the docket, I was pretty skeptical. I thought we were just talking about a rebrand of cheap soup.
Yeah.
But digging into the filings, this feels less like a culinary play and more like a chemistry set.
That's a really important distinction to make right off the bat. If you treat BRLS like a standard consumer packaged goods company, like a Kraft or a General Mills, you're going to miss the actual value proposition.
How so?
They aren't just making soup. They call it integrated food science.
Integrated food science. Okay, that sounds like marketing speak for we hired a chef. But looking at the specs of their product, specifically the Chef Woo brand, they're doing something that, well, it shouldn't really be possible with just wheat and water.
It's the protein density. That's the tech here. Look, anyone can make a plant-based noodle. The problem is, usually when you try to cram that much protein into a dried noodle, it falls apart.
I've had those healthy pastas before. It's like eating wet sawdust.
Exactly. The texture gets gritty or just dissolves into mush when you hit it with boiling water. The texture profile is incredibly hard to engineer.
Right.
But Borealis has developed a proprietary way to formulate these noodles so that a single package of Chef Woo delivers 20 grams of complete protein.
Okay, let's pause on that number. 20 grams. That's not a snack. That is basically a post-workout protein shake. That's what, a small steak? That's 3 eggs?
It's massive. Compare that to your standard Maruchan or Nissan Top Ramen, which is basically a block of empty carbs, saturated fat, and enough sodium to preserve a mummy.
Right.
Borealis is flipping the script. They're taking a format that is cheap, shelf-stable, and beloved by billions, and turning it into a legitimate nutritional delivery system.
So the moat here isn't the brand name because, let's be honest, Chef Woo isn't a household name yet.
Not yet.
It's the chemistry. It's the ability to say, we have the only instant ramen that actually counts as a real meal.
That's the first moat.
Yeah.
The intellectual property. But having a great recipe is, useless if you can't make it cheap enough to compete. And this is where the story shifts from a chemistry lab to heavy industry.
Okay.
We need to talk about Saluda, South Carolina.
This was the part of the research that surprised me the most. I assumed, like most things in this aisle, it was being outsourced to some massive conglomerate in Southeast Asia.
Nope. They own their production.
Yeah.
And they didn't just buy a small kitchen. They have a massive industrial facility in Saluda capable of churning out 600 million meals a year.
600 million? I tried to do the math on that. That's roughly, 1,800 meals every single minute?
Imagine the noise in that place.
Yeah.
It's a beast. And that speed is critical because in the food game, margins are razor thin. You survive on volume. If you're outsourcing, you're paying a premium to someone else, you're dealing with shipping logistics across the Pacific, you're vulnerable to supply chain shocks. By owning the factory, Borealis controls its own destiny.
But owning a factory is a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, it's an asset, sure, but it's also a massive liability. You have to keep those machines running.
That's true.
If you have a factory that can make 600 million meals, but you only sell 50 million, you're just burning cash keeping the lights on.
You've hit on the central tension of the stock, which we'll get to in the financials. But before we go there, there's one more boring detail about this factory that is actually the most exciting part of the bull case.
Oh, yeah.
It's the safety rating.
You're talking about that AA plus BRCGS rating. I admit, my eyes kind of glazed over when I read that. It just sounds like bureaucratic alphabet soup.
I know, I know. But here's why an investor needs to care. BRCGS is Brand Reputation Compliance Global Standards. An AA plus rating is incredibly difficult to get. It means your facility is cleaner, safer, and better run than 99% of the kitchens out there. And most importantly, it's the prerequisite for selling to the biggest, pickiest customer in the United States,
And that is?
the K-12 school system.
Ah, okay. So you can't just whip up some protein noodles in your garage and sell them to the USDA for school lunches. You need the pedigree.
Precisely. The safety standards for feeding children are, rightfully, astronomical.
Yeah.
That rating is a huge barrier to entry. It prevents a generic competitor from just swooping in and undercutting them.
So it legitimizes them.
Yes,
Yeah.
legitimizes Borealis as a player capable of feeding the nation's kids.
Okay, so the setup is strong. We have the Iron Man of noodles, high protein, high tech. We have a fortress of a factory in South Carolina. And we have the safety credentials to sell to anyone. If I stopped reading there, I'd be buying shares with both hands.
Right.
But then I looked at the numbers. And frankly, the numbers are, they're ugly.
They are not pretty. And we need to be very clear about this. This is not a profitable company right now. It is a turnaround story happening in real time.
Let's start with the top line. 2024 revenue came in at $27.67 million. That's actually down almost 8% from the previous year.
It is.
Usually when I see a growth stock with shrinking revenue, I run for the hills. Why is the revenue dropping?
It looks bad on paper, but you have to look at the context. This wasn't an accident. It was a choice. In the past, Borealis was doing a lot of low-margin manufacturing, making stuff for other people, low-tier products that didn't make much money.
So they fired those customers.
They pruned the dead branches, exactly. They sacrificed top-line vanity metrics to focus entirely on their own premium brands, Chef Woo and the institutional brand, Woodles.
They decided they'd rather be smaller and smarter than bigger and broke.
That's a good way to put it. And if you look at the bottom line, you see the effect. They posted a net loss of roughly $25 million.
So still losing $1 for every dollar they bring in, essentially.
Roughly. But, and this is the key, that loss is actually about 8% smaller than the year before. So while revenue went down, the bleeding slowed down.
I see.
That tells me the strategy is starting to work. The operational efficiencies in that massive factory are kicking in. They are losing less money per bowl of noodles than they were a year ago.
But they are still losing money. Which brings us back to that factory. I see they are pouring capital into the Saluda facility. Free cash flow is under pressure because they're buying equipment, upgrading lines.
Right.
It feels like they are doubling down on a hand they haven't won yet.
That is the gamble. They are betting that if they build the perfect machine, the customers will come. They are prioritizing capacity over liquidity right now. It's a classic growth stage squeeze.
They have the car, they have the engine, but they are running low on gas, which is cash.
A perfect analogy.
So let's talk about where that gas is going to come from. If they've cut the low-margin junk, what is going to fill that 600 million meal capacity? What are the catalysts?
Okay, so there are three main pillars to the bull case: retail, institutional, and partnerships. And frankly, retail's the noisy one, but institutional is the profitable one.
Retail means Walmart, right? I see they're pushing hard into Walmart US and Canada.
Yes. Getting on the shelf at Walmart is a huge validator. It puts the product in front of millions of eyeballs, but retail is brutal. You're fighting for shelf space against Marichan, who can sell a pack for pennies.
Shoppers are fickle.
Very. They might buy Chef Woo once to try it, but will they switch for life? It's hard to say. That's where the institutional pillar comes in.
The Woodles brand. This is the school lunch play.
This is the sleeping giant. The K-12 market in the U.S. is massive. We are talking about feeding tens of millions of kids every single day for 9 months of the year.
And unlike the Walmart shopper who might decide they want tacos tonight, schools operate on contracts.
Exactly. It's sticky revenue. Once a school district approves Woodles because it meets the USDA protein guidelines, which, by the way, standard ramen does not, that revenue is recurring. It's predictable. And because Borealis has that AAA plus safety rating, they are one of the few players who can even bid on these contracts.
It effectively becomes a utility. They become part of the plumbing of the school lunch program.
That is the dream scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why that 600 million meal capacity matters. If just a fraction of U.S. schools sign up, Borealis will need every inch of that factory to keep up.
And then there's the third pillar, partnerships. I saw some interesting names. We've got Sam's Club, Feeding America, and then a mysterious Major multinational.
Yeah, that deal in November 2024 is fascinating. They find an exclusive production deal via Palmetto Gourmet Foods for a major multinational. They haven't named names, but think about the big food conglomerates.
Right.
Many of them are realizing they need high-protein, plant-based options, but they don't have the factories to make them. They don't have the tech to keep the noodles from falling apart.
So instead of spending 5 years and $100 million building their own plant, they just call Borealis, hey, can we rent your science in your factory?
Exactly.
Hmm.
This validates the technology. It proves that the moat is real because even the big dogs are willing to pay to use it.
Mm.
And it also diversifies the risk.
How so?
If Chef Woo doesn't become the next Coca-Cola, they can still make money as a high-tech manufacturer for other brands.
Which ties into the macro picture, right? We're living in a world where food security is a headline issue.
It's a huge issue. Supply chains are fragile. Inflation is crushing families. Borealis offers a solution that is shelf-stable for months, high in protein, and costs a fraction of fresh meat.
It's recession-proof nutrition.
In a way, yes. As global populations grow and budgets shrink, the ability to turn cheap wheat into complete protein isn't just a business model, it's a necessity.
That's the narrative that gets me excited, but my job is to be the buzzkill. I have to look at the downside. We talked about the cash burn. How close are they to the edge?
The risk is real and centers on debt. In their recent shareholder letters, there were mentions of defaults on credit agreements.
Whoa. Default is a word that makes investors sweat. Does that mean they're bankrupt?
Not necessarily. It means they breached the terms of a loan. Maybe their cash reserves dipped too low, or their debt-to-income ratio got too high. It's a warning shot from the creditors.
It means they're being watched like a hawk.
Exactly. They're walking a tightrope. They need to spend money to ramp up the factory for these school contracts. But they don't have a huge cushion of cash to fall back on if anything goes wrong. It's a liquidity crunch.
And if those school contracts take too long to materialize,
They could run out of runway. They might have to dilute shareholders by selling more stock or take on even more expensive debt.
and how is the market treating them right now? I mean, what's the sentiment?
It's largely neutral, which is almost worse than being hated. There's no massive volume, no big analyst upgrades. The market is in wait-and-see mode.
Which is dangerous.
It is, because in a broader market where the Dow has been shaky, investors usually flee from small-cap companies with debt issues. BRLS is not a safe haven stock. It is a risk-on asset.
So we have a company with potentially world-changing food tech and a massive factory, but they are weighed down by debt and burning cash while waiting for their big contracts to kick in.
Yep.
It really feels like a binary outcome. Either they win big or they struggle mightily.
It is high stakes,
Yeah?
but that's where the opportunity is.
All right, let's bring it home. What is your final verdict on Borealis Foods?
I'm giving Borealis Foods a bullish score of 610.
A 6 out of 10. That's cautious optimism. Why not higher?
I can't go higher until I see the cash flow turn positive. The debt risk is just too significant to ignore. However, the reason I'm bullish and not neutral is the asset value. That factory in Saluda is real. The AA+ rating is real. The 600 million meal capacity is real.
So even in a worst-case scenario, there is a floor to the value because of the physical assets.
That's the idea.
Mm.
And if the bull case plays out, if the schools sign up and that food security narrative takes hold, this company is just fundamentally undervalued. The pivot to high-margin products was the right strategic move, even if it hurts right now.
So this is a long game. This isn't a quick flip.
100%. This is a multi-year hold.
Ah.
You're waiting for government contracts. You're waiting for production ramps. You need patience.
It's the kind of stock you put in the corner of your portfolio and check on every 6 months or so.
Exactly. And if you believe in the thesis that the world needs better, cheaper, cleaner protein, Borealis is one of the few pure-play ways to bet on that.
It's a fascinating setup. You know, we started this by joking about ramen being the food of the poor, but what Borealis is trying to do is turn it into the food of the future.
That's the thought I want to leave everyone with. We talk about tech like it's only silicon chips and software, but food tech is going to be one of the most critical sectors of the next decade.
Right.
We have to feed 10 billion people. We can't do it with just cattle farms.
Right.
Innovation like this, turning a commodity noodle into a superfood, is exactly what the world needs.
It's innovation you can eat. I like that.
Me too.
Well, that's a wrap on our deep dive into Borealis Foods. Thank you all for joining Smart Wealth with Joshua. If you're holding BRLS or if you've actually tried these Chef Woo noodles, let us know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious if they taste as good as the science suggests.
We'd love to hear your take.
Don't forget to subscribe for the next analysis. Until then, stay smart and stay wealthy.
See you next time.